All right, here we go. We're doing a Red Sox all-decade team draft 2010. I'm here with my man Obro. I hit Obro up the other day or a couple weeks ago, and I was telling him like I had an idea about this, and he's like, "Yo, dude, like how about we just do like a draft?" And I was like, "Dang!" Like I was low key jealous because I was like, I don't know why to think of that. But this is Obro. I'm hoping to get you on some more stuff coming soon. Um,
Yeah, 100%.
diversify is a good word, branch out a little bit, but we're gonna hop right into it. So I've got like a little format here. Let me pull it up. We're gonna go starting nine is what we said. 5-man rotation, equal 4-man bench, um, and a closer with two relievers. Maybe we could just do like we'll figure it out. Then we'll iron it out. But
Yeah,
um,
100%.
I'm thinking I'm thinking we go old fashioned. First pick, we'll just go rock paper scissors. How's that
Yeah,
sound?
that works with me,
Well,
man. Absolutely.
a little computer delay maybe, but all right.
We'll find out whenever you're ready.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hold on. The question is, do we go 2 out of 3 or do we just go like just rip it?
I normally do 2 out of 3, but I mean, if we want to get into this quick, I mean, we could just do sudden death at this point.
Let's just do some that dude. All right.
Let's do it.
Ready? Uh, Paper, scissors.
Oh no,
What'd you
Ty.
throw? What'd you throw?
I
Oh, you
threw
threw
paper.
paper. All
Yeah.
right. One.
Paper,
All right, ready?
scissors.
I'm gonna call out. I'm gonna call it out first. Ready?
All right, whenever you're ready. Yeah.
Rock,
Rock,
paper,
paper,
scissors.
scissors,
Shoot.
shoot. All right, I had
You
scissors.
threw scissors? All right.
Yeah, you
All
got
right, let's
first
do
pick.
it.
You got first
Dang.
pick.
I'm sitting on the couch watching the game earlier. I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do if I have the first pick? um,
I
I
hope
got
you
a
don't.
couple.
Yeah, I hope you
What?
don't take who I'm thinking you're gonna take. So I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut on that.
I'm thinking who you think I'm gonna take. I'm looking at it right here. All right, I'm gonna kind of talk through it. I like Devi. I like going Rafi first pick because I mean the guy just got offered 10 mil 300. Like who else would I rather have for the 20s? But I'm looking down here at the outfielders, man. I'm looking at I'm looking at a guy who's played played a really good right field and probably the hardest park to play right field in, I would say. One of the hardest, at least. MVP, now with the Los Angeles Dodgers, which breaks my heart. And I think he's just the consensus 1-1. I'm just gonna go Mookie Betts because I can.
Uh-huh.
So
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm gonna go and send my pick in real quick.
I knew you were gonna do that. I knew it.
I'm gonna go 1-1 Mookie Betts.
Oh man, that throws it off. I knew
And I
you were gonna
will
go Mookie. I knew it.
and I will pass the torch to you, my man.
All right. Wow. That threw a that threw a wrench in the plans.
I bet it did.
Wow. All right. Well, it sucks because I was looking at all of the five tool position players, and really Mookie's the only one that really is able to kind of check off all the boxes. So that was who I was gonna go with. Ooh, all right.
Right. Consensus 1-1, baby.
Well, all right. I guess if I'm thinking lineup, I think, I need a power bat. And, I don't think you can go much better than Big Poppy himself, Mr. David
Okay.
Ortiz, with the second
Okay.
overall pick. I mean, by far, I think you could argue probably the best offensive player for the Red Sox. Obviously, a huge contributor in the 2013 World Series. Got 500 home runs, over 2,400 hits, and obviously had a boom in his last season in 2016. I believe he finished top five in MVP voting as
Yep.
well. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you can't get Mookie Betts, I mean, might as well go with arguably the greatest designated hitter of all time in Big Poppy. So, David Ortiz, is going to be my second pick,
I love that.
my
Dude,
first pick, but second overall pick.
I remember watching like the 2016 that run and it was like the Big Poppy tour and like you look at the like what he's doing and the dude's got what do he have like 37 bombs, like over 100 RBIs like at least, right?
Yeah. Oh
He just
yeah.
like literally
Easily.
it was like a top 5 like career year and it was just like when he was like 40, which is
It made me.
absolutely insane.
Yeah, it made me wish he could just play a little bit longer. Like he still had more in the tank. I know he did,
Oh, 100%.
but I mean, to kind of end your career on top, I mean, does it? It really doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
Ending his career the way he did.
No better way, yeah. All right, so we're going ahead of round two. My second pick. Really wish I planned this out more, but I mean, I talked about him, at my first pick, kind of going back and forth. Had a power, speed, defense, bat, and right field. We'll just go corners again, but we'll go corner infield and we'll go Devers. I mean,
Pick, good pick.
I could just list the whole 2018 roster, and I don't want to be too boring, but I will take Devers because he's a stud. I mean, like I said, 10 years, 300 mil. Like, that's our guy. So why not make him our guy right here?
Well, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. All right. So with the second pick in the second round, yeah, I'm looking at the board right now, and there's one glaring position that I noticed doesn't have a lot of depth on here in the infield, and that's shortstop. So with the second pick in the second round, I'm gonna take none other than Mr. Xander Bogaerts,
Big
arguably
one.
the best shortstop for the Red Sox since Nomar Garcia Parra. Obviously, you had a bunch of different guys kind of floating around in that time period between Nomar and Xander, but for 10 seasons, Xander locked that position down. And I mean, you can't really go much better to anchor your infield than Xander. Probably one of the best offensive shortstops in the 2010s. I'm kind of thinking, kind of go a little offensive minded here. Obviously, not the best defender, but I mean, you can't really go much better than that with Xander anchoring shortstop for your team. So,
Yeah, you really can't. It's just a shame. Like, it's obviously like I was thinking tonight, like Devers, Mookie Betts, and like Xander. It's like those are guys that could all have 10-year, 300 mil like deals. So it's like you want to blame ownership for like not following through and like locking all those guys down, but at the same time, it's like that's kind of hard. But
oh yeah,
um,
100%.
I'm gonna go to the rotation here with my third pick. Got to have a good rotation, and I think the 2010s kind of the decade of like some young guys emerging, kind of making names for themselves, but also like the tail end of those like early 2000 years, like in their later years. Talk about like Lackey, Beckett, those guys. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and take Lester.
Good pick. Good
Lester's a
pick.
stud. Like had some really good years. Came up with the Sox and was just like one of the best pitchers in the league, one of the best young pitchers in the league. Lefty. I think that plays really good mix. So I'm gonna go John Lester as my eighth.
Oh, that's a good pick. I mean, I got to start looking at pitching too, because I mean, there's not obviously you have some like you mentioned, kind of like guys at the tail end of their careers playing in the 2010s. Obviously, some young guys that kind of emerged out of nowhere. Um, but I think I got to match you with that one. So I think with the second pick in the third round, I'm gonna go with Chris Sale. I mean, I know
Okay.
that the last few years with him haven't been great. But I mean, that 2 year run in 2017, 2018, he was arguably a top three pitcher in all of baseball. And without question, we don't win that 2018 World Series without him. And I mean, just seeing him get the final out, coming out of the bullpen, getting the save in game 5 of the 2018 World Series against the Dodgers. I mean, everyone's always going to remember that. And
Storybook ending.
yeah, exactly. Especially with all the dominance he had in that 2 year stretch. I need an ace, and Chris Sale definitely fits the fits that role for me. So you can't go wrong with Chris Sale. With if you can't get Lester, you got to go Chris Sale. So I'm gonna take him with my third pick.
Hell yeah, I love that pick. I'm a huge Sale guy. The guy's like absolute stud, and people get him on him for the injuries, but like you got to remember, like this guy, even if you go back to like the White Sox, like coming over, like when he got here, he was like established, like maybe a top three pitcher in the league. Like he's up there with like Kershaw, and it's like I feel like people forget like how insane he was, and like yeah, it does suck that like we've seen it for like months at a time, and then it's gone. But like I think 2018 was like I think it was worth it. Like that guy giving us the title, like pretty much carrying our staff. Like that was huge. I'm kind of at a loss for where to go here. I'm looking at a couple guys I like, and I'm thinking I might be jumping the gun here a little bit. I'm gonna go Craig Kimbrell in my pen.
Ooh, that's a good,
Dude,
interesting pick.
there is no one across the 2010s who was more dominant than him out of the pen. And I think it's very underrated to have a guy like that. Nowadays we have like the matchups and we don't really have guys who are just like closers. I mean, Kenley obviously, but like you don't really see like closers anymore. And I think like he was just so valuable for holding our bullpen together. And like even with this year's team, we see some of the breakdown in the bullpen. And I think having a guy like Kimbrel, who was like literally just dominant, is just so clutch to have in a rotation. So I'm gonna go Kimbrel with my fourth pick and number seven pick overall.
Well, honestly, didn't think you were going to go down that route, but
Yeah,
no, nonetheless,
yeah.
that's a good pick though. I can't argue with that whatsoever. All right. So for the fourth round for the second pick, could go in a lot of different directions here. You know, kind of thinking about it a little bit, and so I have Bogarts at shortstop, but I think you
Don't
need
take
that
my
double
guy.
play part. You need that double play partner. And I think without question, when he played, he was kind of the heart and soul of that Red Sox team. Definitely in 20, one of the leaders in that 2013 squad. Obviously, I hate Manny Machado for ending his career, but I got to go Dustin Pedroia here and play to man second base for me. I mean, like I said, literally right from the gun as a rookie. Obviously, he struggled that first month, but then pretty much the 10, 11, 12 seasons he played with the Red Sox after that, he was just on fire. We won
Yeah,
two World Series with him, won an MVP, won a Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger, a Rookie of the Year, I think a 4 or 5 time All Star. I mean, I don't think there's a much better double play duo than having Xander Bogaerts and Dustin Pedroia. So,
yeah.
I gotta take him in the fourth round here.
You definitely killed it up the middle. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. I mean, Pedroia, dude, like you said, like rough first month in the league, and like that was it. There was no more. I mean, obviously some struggles, of course, like any big league player, but like just a rock at second base, so durable. I mean, like Hall of Fame pace, first like 8, 10 years in the league before all the injuries. And I think just like the injuries are product of like his style of play that we don't see anymore. We don't see guys play the way he does, running on every ground ball, just playing literally 100%, 110%. Like you don't see that anymore. So really good pick there. I love that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a big bat here. I'm thinking another bat. Took Poppy off the board. I'm gonna put down JD Martinez as my DH.
Good pick. I
Absolute
like
stud.
that. I like that a lot.
I mean, we know his story. Kind of a late bloomer with the Astros. Figured out his swing, and then just came here and just slugged for like 2 years. So love JD.
Oh yeah, I
Take
mean,
him any day.
yeah, I mean, he made other than 2020, where it was a COVID year, they didn't have the All Star team. I mean, he made the All Star team, I believe, for all 4 seasons except that 2020 season with the Red Sox. Won the
Mm-hmm.
Hank Aaron Award. Obviously, coming off of 2017, the one thing we were lacking was power, and we bring JD Martinez in, and it lit a spark. Not just with JD Martinez, but other guys too. I think Mookie Betts had his first 30 home run season with JD, or I think no, his second. Sorry, but even
Mm-hmm.
still, won the MVP that year as well. So I mean, JD literally lit a spark with that Red Sox offense, and he's an integral part of that 2018 World Series team, and even the seasons after. That 2021 ALCS run. That you cannot go wrong with that pick whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah. So I'm looking at the board right now. Wow. There's a lot of different directions I could definitely go in. I think that I think I need some. He had one really good season. Definitely was known as a speed threat. During his time with the Red Sox, was a part of 2 World Series teams in addition to Pedroia. I think a little bit of a surprise pick here, but I'm going to go with Jacoby Ellsbury to man center field for me.
I was
I
thinking
mean,
about him.
he was arguably the best offensive player during that 2011 season. Obviously, he did have those struggles with the Yankees, but with the Red Sox, I mean, he was everything you wanted. He was a hit contact first guy who could literally run like a madman. Like he could literally steal bases anytime he wanted. Like I said, was a huge part of those 2 World Series teams in 2007 and 2013, and could also play Gold Glove defense in center field. So I need some defensive guys, and like I said, he had an outstanding offensive season in 2011. So I'm gonna go Ellsbury with my pick here.
There we go. I love that pick. All right, I'm gonna go with a guy who you actually put on the board. It did not cross my mind when I was first making this. I'm gonna go Vmart, Victor Martinez. slugging catcher, first baseman. I think towards I'm not if I'm not wrong, towards the tail end of his career when he came to Boston, maybe like early 30s, I want to say.
Yeah, I know he had a bunch of years with the I think he played like 2 seasons with the Red Sox. I know he played with the Tigers for a while after that. So I'd say
Yeah,
probably like middle of his prime, maybe kind of getting toward the end a little bit. But
yeah, came to Boston in '09 as a 30-year-old, and then he played. So we kind of did it like you play a season for the Red Sox in the 2010s, like you're eligible. Um, that season with the Red Sox, 127 games, batted 302, 20 bombs, 32 doubles, 844 OPS. Like, I mean, yeah, like I'll take that. So I'll take Vmart. Really good player for a while. Very underrated too.
no, that's a good pick. Yeah, no, I feel like that's definitely a player that a lot of Red Sox fans forgot played for that team. And I think I'm probably going to do the same thing. I'm going to take a player that, he only spent 1 season with the Red Sox. It was in 2010, but is without question a first ballot Hall of Famer, has over 3,000 hits in his career, made it to the World Series with the Texas Rangers in 2011. I'm going to go with Adrian Beltre to play third base. I mean, without question, one of the best third basemen to have ever stepped foot on a baseball diamond. Like I said, over 3,000 hits, made a few all-star teams, had a couple gold gloves and silver slugger awards. Also probably one of the best defensive third basemen as well, I should add,
Very good.
during the 2010s. And yeah, he did only spend 1 year with the Red Sox, but it was a good year. I mean, he made his very first all-star team with the Red Sox. And like I said, just a Hall of Fame player. You can't go wrong with it. So, I'm going to take Beltre here.
Dude, if you were to do like a trivia question on like the 2010, 2011 Red Sox and like just like the most random stars that just like ended up here, you could write a book on that. Just like those 2 years, like what was going on. Um, but I'm looking here at my 7th pick here. All right, so I'm gonna try and fill out this infield a little bit more. I only have third and potentially first with B Mart. Kind of not a whole lot to offer. I mean, you nailed it on the head. There's Pedroia, Devers, Bogarts, and it's like kind of a big gap. Um, I think I might hold off on middle infield for a while. Um, Ellsbury's off the board, and I think I'm gonna go just at infield, but I think I'm gonna go Benintendi here. Um, I mean, I'm gonna pull up Benintendi right here because he had some really nice years, and I think like really nice years defensively too. I think you look at like the numbers and like people look at the power and they're like, okay, like this guy was okay, but like dude always hit like 290, 280. Was just like an above average hitter. Like very much worse. Like worst year ever is like an average hitter with good defense and speed. So like I love Benintendi. I was always a huge Benny guy. I'm gonna go Benintendi. I got Benintendi and Betts on the corner outfield spots. I'm loving that. And I'll pass it over to you.
No, I like that a lot. Yeah, like you said, definitely was not much of a power hitter, but like I said, he always found ways to get on base, could steal the bases, and play Gold Glove defense in left field. So I mean, no, you cannot go wrong with that pick whatsoever. I like that pick for you. Um, I'm looking at the pitching. All I have right now is Chris Sale, so I think I'm gonna go down the pitching route here. Definitely a lot of different options that you can go with. I mean, this was definitely kind of a time I would say outside of kind of like Lester and Sale, where it was like you didn't really have too many like aces on the team, if that makes sense. Never really like that one number one guy outside of those two. Um, I think I'm gonna go. I know he was kind of hated mostly because of the contract that he signed, and maybe not necessarily living up to it per se. But, like I said, we don't win that 2018 World Series without him. Arguably could have won the World Series MVP that year. I'm taking
Come
I'm
on,
taking David
dude.
Price as my number two starting pitcher. I mean, he had two very good, 2016, 2018. I think he had over 15 wins in both those seasons. Obviously battled a couple injuries, and yeah, maybe didn't necessarily live up to that huge contract that he signed. I believe it was 7 years, 217 million, I believe. So I mean, definitely a huge price tag, but nonetheless, I mean, was very, very dominant. And I mean, for what we needed him for, like I said, had a bounce back year in 2018. And like I said, we don't win that World Series without him. And I mean, what a better 1-2 punch than having Chris Sale and David Price. So I mean, I'm taking Price right here.
Yeah, dude. Like you said it best. Gets a lot of hate because of the contract, but I mean, how many times have we seen the Sox just dish out like huge paydays to guys who are turning 30? You cannot blame Price for that. Like, if anything, it's like, dude, the guy got paid.
Yeah,
Like, hell
I
yeah,
mean,
like love that for him.
yeah, I mean, gotta love his age. I mean, to be able to get a contract like that, I mean, especially now because teams are a lot more hesitant to giving out these long term big money contracts because of how they work out,
Yeah.
especially in the later years of that deal. I mean, we've seen it with guys like Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols, kind of struggling toward the end of those contracts. But no, I mean, you can't blame David Price. I mean, he got paid, he got that offer, and he got paid. And like I said, won a World Series. So at the end
Yeah,
of the day, is it really a failure if we won the World Series?
exactly. No, I 100% back that deal. And like 2016 led the league in innings pitched and games started. And with a 3.99, it's like, oh my God, he has a 4.8. No, it's not terrible. Like that's pretty solid for 35 games started, 230 innings. And like ERA plus, he was above average for those 4 years. Again, averaging like 25 starts a year. But I mean, the guy just took the ball every fifth day. I'd take, would you take David Price right now with the rotation we have, the three guys who are rolling out there with the two
Yeah, no,
bullpen days? Like,
100%.
I
Yeah.
would
I mean,
love to have a 3.8 ERA with 35 starts. Like, I would love that.
no, 100%. Oh, 100%. Especially, I mean, I don't know how much more I can take of having two back-to-back days of having the opener and just using the bullpen for 2 consecutive days. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how much more I can handle of
Yeah.
that.
I'm with you on that, dude. Great pick there. I love David Price. I was a little bit upset because I literally just pulled up his page and I hear you started talking about contracts. And I'm like, dude, oh my God.
No, I saw your reaction. I knew it. I knew it.
All right, I'm going on a limb here, and I think this is actually I think you fell a little bit. I'm going Jonathan Papelbon.
Oh, I was
Guy
gonna
was
take
legit,
him.
legit back end reliever. Again, I think more on the later end of his career. Once he got here, like, or towards the 2010s. Pull up Papelbon, yeah, started in '05. So yeah, 2010s is 29, 30, 31 years old, kind of that range, but like still pretty decent years. And a guy who was just dominant for so long for the Red Sox. So I'll take Pap.
Oh man, you got the two best closers of the 2010s for the Red Sox. Man, I was hoping they'd fall just a little bit more. I was thinking about taking him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got to go some sort of reliever here. I'm not sure if I'm going to have him. I don't know if I want him necessarily as a closer or long term reliever. What I do know is I need to take him. That's got to be Andrew Miller. I mean, I know he didn't necessarily have his best years with the Red Sox, but I mean, he still had a couple very, very solid years with us. Had a 3.35 ERA in 2012, 2.64 ERA in 2013, had a 2.34 ERA in 2014, 50 games before he got traded over to the Orioles. And of course, we know what he did with the Yankees and Guardians at the time, Cleveland Indians. But I mean, you can't really argue. I mean, two-time All-Star. He won the Rivera Reliever of the Year award. I mean, if you can't get the two best closers of the 2010s for the Red Sox, you got to go with arguably one of the best long inning relievers of the 2010s. And Andrew Miller was able to serve that role. Maybe not necessarily for the Red Sox, but definitely throughout the 2010s for other teams.
Yeah. I did not realize he was that solid with us. I always kind of just in my small brain viewed it as like the dude was here and then went elsewhere and just balls. But like, yeah, he was very solid for a while. Who am I gonna take here? I'm thinking this is where we start getting into like, okay, this is a draft now. Like I feel like I'm like drafting a fantasy team where it's like the first five picks are like studs, studs, studs. Not that these guys aren't studs, but like gets a little thinner towards the
Oh, yeah.
end. All right, well, I need a center fielder. Okay, I got Betts and Benintendi on the corners. Why not just fill out the killer bees and just go with Jackie Bradley Jr.? I'll just take JBJ, one of the best center fielders that I've ever seen. I mean, obviously not the greatest bat, but like I will take his defense over anyone else.
Yeah.
100%.
No, there's no argument there. Yeah, no, definitely. He had one very good offensive season, 2016. I believe he had, it was his lone All Star season, had 27 home runs that year. And then
It's a big hit
27,
streak.
Yeah, I don't. Was that 2016 or was that 2017? I can't remember.
I could be mixing it up, but I do remember like vividly that like 20 something game hit streak where he was just
Yeah, no, I do
ridiculous.
remember that
Yeah,
as well. And then unfortunately, after that, he just never was able to find his offensive groove again. But no, make no mistake. I mean, this is a Gold Glove center fielder that literally could get it done for you on the defensive end. And at the end of the day, defense is just as important, if not more important, than offense in some ways. So I mean, you can't go wrong with having a center fielder like Jackie Bradley Jr. there. Um, so I think with my next pick, I got a few more pitchers now, so I'm feeling good there. I'm gonna take another guy that, I don't know if necessarily a lot of Red Sox fans remember him, mostly because, this was the early 2010s. And unfortunately, we had to trade Anthony Rizzo to get him, who, at the time was a prospect in our system and obviously developed into a World Series champ and an all star for the Cubs, but got him from the San Diego Padres. Had a great 2 year run for us. I believe won the Hank Aaron Award as well. That's going to be Adrian Gonzalez at first base. I
huge.
mean, that guy wasn't. Listen, I know he was only there for 2 years, and of course, it was the 2 years where the Red Sox didn't have the greatest stretch. Obviously, you had the chicken and beer scandal, and then that one
The
disaster
go
season
one.
with Bobby Valentine. But I mean, his 2 seasons with the Red Sox. I mean, first season he had a 155 OPS plus, won the Hank Aaron Award, received some votes for MVP. I mean, didn't really get much better than that. And I mean, also too, great defensive first baseman as well. Could swing the bat. And I think he's definitely one of those forgotten Red Sox players, especially being in the 2010s, and then also being a part of that 2012 fire sale where we trade like all those big money guys to the Dodgers. But I mean, when he was in a Boston uniform, make no mistake, he did his job. And let's not forget too, cover athlete of MLB 12 The Show. I mean, am I right?
It's a big
Like,
one. Yeah,
doesn't get much
that's a
better than
classic.
that. So
That's a classic. Yeah, I love that pick right there. It got such a stud and was for so long too. Like just one of the few guys up there with like Pujols and Beltre for just like slugging through their mid 30s. No one, not a lot of guys do that anymore. I'm gonna go Kevin Youkilis.
I
This is
like
a guy
that pick.
who was a staple throughout the 04-07 World Series teams. Had some above average years. 2010, dude, 975 OPS, 19 homers, 26 RBIs, batted 307. This dude was such an on base machine, 411 on base that year. In his career, 382. Dude just took his walks, just murdered baseballs for a living, and could slide over to third too. Played some good corner infield for the Sox. So I'll go Kevin Youkilis, can slide him over to third.
No, that's a good pick for you. And I mean, don't forget too, Moneyball. Billy Bean did call him the Greek god of walks. Like this guy figured out a way to get on base every single time when it mattered most. And yeah, no, make no mistake, Kevin Youkilis a great pick up there. You cannot go wrong with that pick whatsoever. So I got my infield all filled out. I'm liking it a lot. This is I love my
Yeah,
infield. I'm
it's
not
pretty
gonna lie to you.
fire. Pretty
So I'm gonna start kind of shifting toward the outfield a little bit. This was a guy that only spent a few seasons with us, but I mean he had some very very clutch moments in the 2013 season. Had a grand slam in the ALCS in Game 6 to send us to that pretty much sent us to the World Series, and then in Game 6 of the 2013 World Series had a 3-run triple that basically took away the game from the St. Louis Cardinals for good. Played some Gold Glove defense out there. I got to go Shane, the Flying Hawaiian Shane
flying
Victorino for my
line. I
right
was
field
about to
spot.
say it.
Oh man, like I said, this guy, didn't spend too much time with us, but I mean, like I said, 2013 was another leader on that Red Sox team. I mean, it did not get much better than the Flying Hawaiian out there, and like I said, delivered some very clutch moments for the Red Sox during that season. And I mean,
Absolutely.
overall, a very very solid career. 4-time Gold Glove winner, 2-time All Star, and even in that season with the Red Sox too, he batted 294, had an 801 OPS, 118 OPS plus. I know the last 2 years weren't necessarily as good, but I mean, like I said, a Gold Club player in right field to kind of go up with Mookie Betts up there. I'm not saying definitely not as good, but like I said, you can't go much better in this kind of situation than having the Flying Hawaiian on your squad.
That dude will always have a special place in my heart. I can't tell you how many times I've just gone through like the YouTube vault wormhole of just like the Shane Victorino. Obviously the 3-run triple, the homers, like the guy just like will always have he'll always be right here for me. That's like a childhood hero, dude. Flying the line. Are
Oh,
you kidding me?
100%. Yeah, no, especially because I started watching Red Sox around that time too, and Shane Victorino was always one of those guys that really stood out to me when I first started watching baseball. So
Yeah, dude. That guy's the best. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go and target the rotation here. We took Price, which sucks. We're gonna go. I'm gonna go Erod, Eduardo Rodriguez, another lefty. Have Lester, Erod back to back. This dude was like really highly touted, obviously, in prospect coming up. I'm just gonna pull him up real quick because this guy was like legit and obviously killing it right now for Detroit. He some reason wasn't an All Star. That confused me. Was he? He was a victim of like the every team gets one, and it was Michael Lorenzen for some reason. Who was like, no disrespect, he's having a really solid year, but like he got 2.69 ERA right now. But he had some really nice years with the Sox. Um, Up until 2020 when he was out mid three ERA, just like really solid. Again, a guy that just like took the ball every fifth day. Just like a staple for like again, we're younger, so like that's kind of like my biggest memory of like being really into Sox is like mid 2010s, late 2010s. And he was just like always there. Erod was always just really solid. So I think Erod was my 21st pick. Fill up my rotation a little bit.
no, I like that pick a lot. I like I said, I still remember when he made his big league debut. I mean, like you said, got the ball every fifth. And he had a career year in 2019. He had 19 in a year where the rotation struggled. Erod was probably the best pitcher in that Red Sox rotation. He had 19 wins that year, had a 3.81 ERA, pitched over 200 innings. He had an ERA plus of 128. So I mean, you can't go. That's a really good pick. And like you said, got the ball every fifth day. And yeah, I mean, and even now with Detroit, like he's going to be one of the top trade deadline targets for a lot of teams. I mean, this year this might be his best year. He has a 2.69 ERA right now,
Yep.
161 ERA plus. So I mean, I know a lot. Hopefully, Red Sox are one of them, but
I was
I know
gonna
a lot
say,
of
I've
teams.
heard that.
Yeah, I
Going
have as
back,
well.
dude.
I have as well. So but I know
Yeah,
a lot of teams are going to be in on him. So I mean, you cannot go wrong with that pick whatsoever.
I love that
You
pick.
know, I want to contradict one of my statements I said earlier because you got Kimbrel and Papelbon, who I said were two of the best closers of the Red Sox in the 2010s. I completely forgot he was on the board, but I'm glad you didn't pick him. Literally stepped into the closers role in 2013, was the ALCS MVP. I'm taking him for my closer spot. I'm taking my man Koji Uehara. What a guy!
OG.
Oh my god, I
Stud.
completely forgot he was on the board. Oh my god, I'm just glad I noticed him now. So yeah, where was I? Okay, so Koji. First of all, he wasn't even supposed to be the Red Sox closer. He was a setup man. Injuries happened. He ended up having to fill in that role and held that role for basically 3.5 seasons. Actually, no, 3 seasons until Kimbrel came in 2016. But still, I mean, he did his job. First of all, 109 ERA in 2013. Had a ERA plus of looking at it right now. He had an ERA plus. I'm not even exaggerating when I say this.
It's ridiculous, dude.
379.
Ridiculous.
379 ERA plus in 2013. Like this man was absolutely dominant. And even
Yeah.
after that, too, 2014, 159 ERA plus, 2015, 194 ERA plus. And even in 2016, which was considered a down year for him, he still put up 130 ERA plus. I mean, Koji was the man during the mid 2010s for the Red Sox. Like you knew he was going to come in and do his job every single time the ninth inning rolled around. The Sox had a lead. Like Koji was unbelievable during that time span, and I don't think you can go much better than having Koji as a closer, especially with Kimbrel and Papelbon off the board. So I'm very happy with that pick.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was hearing you talk about it, and the first thing was like 109 ERA, and I'm in my head. For some reason it was like ERA plus, and I'm like, nah, dude, like legit had a 1 ERA for like a full stretch as a closer. Like over 300 ERA plus is bonkers. It's just
Like
like
that's got to be up there for literally one of the best reliever seasons of
it's got to be a
all
record.
time.
Yeah, he's probably up there. That's
Like without question, got to be at least a top 10, top five, top 10, top five reliever season of all time. It's not even close.
oh yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm gonna go with my next pick. I'm gonna go back to the rotation. Just trying to make sure I don't botch this one. And I almost did. I'm not really sure where to go here. So I'm looking between two guys. Okay. One guy was here for a stretch of 3 or 4 years. And you probably know who I'm thinking of when I say it. Had one really memorable season. It was recognized and disputed um, nationally. So he's up there with JV for Cy Young, and JV's got him in every single number. And Kate Upton, his wife, I think, girlfriend at the time. I'm not sure when they
Um,
got married. I don't know. I don't know the exact timeline, but like tweeting out like, "Are you kidding me? Like, how come my husband didn't get it over this guy?"
oh my, I
I'm
remember
looking
that.
between someone who maybe was involved with that and another guy who you mentioned it earlier. There was a scandal in the 2010s involving some chicken and maybe some beer. And I'm looking at that guy who had another season that was recognized nationally as being one of the best. And I think I'm gonna go. Dude, what do I think my hesitation is kind of indicative of like that's not a good pick. I'm gonna do a little rewind, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pick Rick Porcello, 22-4 in 2016. That was kind of last year. I remember wins being like a big deal. I think after that, wins kind of tailored off because like you look at JV's year, he beat him in every category. But I mean, dude, Rick Porcello, Cy Young, how about that in 2016? This guy was just like an average pitcher for a while with Detroit. Came into Boston, put up a 5 ERA, and then just like won the Cy Young. I think that speaks volumes. It's just like that was like a crazy year in general. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm cool with Rick Porcello in my three. Obviously, not the greatest career in terms of like ERA, but again, took the ball every fifth day. I think that matters a lot, and won a Cy Young. So I'm gonna take a Cy Young as my number three in my rotation. I think that's pretty solid.
No, I like that pick. I was thinking about taking him as well. And I remember too when that trade first happened when we got him. I remember we gave up Yoenis Cespedes, and I remember just being so mad because I remember Yoenis Cespedes went crazy in his time in Oakland. We gave him up for basically for half a season of John Lester, and like we had him for I think it was like a year and a half of control at that point. So I was so mad when we traded Yoenis Cespedes to get him. And of course, he puts the 5 ERA in his first season. But yeah, no, like you said, won the Cy Young in 2016, was part of that World Series team in 2018. I still remember when he pitched that one hit complete game against the Yankees. The only hit given he gave up, I think, was a home run to like Miguel and oh no, it was Gleyber Torres, I think. But I
80
remember
pitches or
seeing
something
that.
like that.
Yeah,
He
it
was
was
like
it
mid
was like
80s.
one of those rookies. I do remember that. But I remember seeing that start, like just that was absolute dominance from him. And like I said, we don't win that World Series without him. He was definitely another anchor in that rotation. I really like that pick for you a lot. That was a real I was thinking about taking him too. So um, I can go in a lot. I feel like I can go in a lot of different again, a lot of different directions outside the infield. I think I'm probably gonna go pitching here. There's still some very good names on this board, I feel like. I think that since you took Porcel, I have two lefties in the starting rotation. I need a righty to kind of combat that. So you know what? I think I'm gonna go with John Lackey with my pick here.
Okay.
Yeah, he was part of that chicken and beer scandal, and obviously I think that kind of leaves a blemish on his career. And of course, he did have a 6.41 ERA in that year, but and had Tommy John the year after. So, it was kind of looking like a bad deal at the time. But I mean, he came bounced back in 2013, had a 10-13 record, but he did have a 3.52 ERA, didn't have the best run support that year, and also had an ERA plus of 117. So, I mean, a very, very solid year. And was doing very well in 2014 before he got traded to St. Louis. 11-7 record with a 3.60 ERA. Also had an 111 ERA plus that year as well. But I mean, he's definitely a guy, like you said before, kind of like a guy who, every fifth day, you knew what to expect from him, especially post Tommy John surgery, which I think even makes it even more impressive because we've seen what Tommy John surgery can do to pitchers. And to be able to bounce back from a career worst year and help the Red Sox win the 2013 World Series, I think that's amazing. And of course, he had that fiery attitude on the mound. He wanted to be out there. He always
My
fought with his
guy.
and no, and he
Yeah.
always fought with his managers every time they thought about taking him out. I
I
remember in the
love that.
2013 World Series where
Clinching
John
game
Farron was
started
going to
it.
take him out, And John Lackey said, "No, this is my guy. This is my guy." He kept him in. I think he ended up walking him and got taken out. But still, I love that fiery, competitive spirit from a pitcher. I don't think you can go wrong, especially with a right-handed pitcher in the 2010s and John Lackey.
I love that pick. I was a huge Lackey guy. That 2013 Game Six was a big one. That start.
Oh yeah,
I mean, because
100%.
dude, how many times do you see like a Game Six that just goes off the rails and you get to like, dude, 86 Buckner, like Game Six goes off the rails and then no momentum left for Game Seven and you get wiped. Like that's a big game for him to come out and start and shove.
Yeah.
For my next pick, I'm gonna go with a guy who I remember watching for a while, 2011, 2012, 13, up until 2016 until he went to Miami. Junichi Chizawa. I always watched this guy and I was always like, yeah, he's pretty solid, good split, and like dude was a legit reliever. He went through a stretch from 2012 to 2014. He had a 157 ERA plus, 2.62 ERA, 175 innings over 3 years, 60 appearances, which is absolutely ridiculous. Actually, no, way more than 60 appearances. I'm looking at the wrong column. Back-to-back years of 71 appearances. So the guy was legit middle inning reliever. I will take him as one of my setup guys.
No, I like that pick for you. I mean, I would definitely didn't have the best career, but there were definitely moments with the Red Sox where he was very dominant, especially I'd say from that 2012 to 2014 span. Put up a 1.43 ERA in 2012, 3.16 ERA in 2013, 2.86 ERA in 2014. Like he was very, very dominant. I feel like people forget that too, because there were a lot of years in between that where he wasn't at his best, but like I said, was part of that 2013 World Series team. And I mean, you definitely can't go wrong with having him as a setup man for sure. I really do like that pick for you. Um, Man, all right, let's see here. I still need a left fielder, so I think I got a target an outfielder here. And of course, there's only three names left that I see. One was probably the one of the worst signings in Red Sox history, so I'm not going to take him. I think if Red Sox fans probably know who I'm talking about. Uh, so that leaves two guys. I got to take him for left field. I'm going to take Johnny Gomes, and like I said, wasn't a Red Sox for very long, but was a huge vocal leader in that 2013 season, and had some very very clutch moments for us. I remember had a couple walk off hits. I remember that walk off homer he hit. I believe it was against the Texas Rangers. I mean, I remember seeing that game and just jumping up and down like a little kid. And I mean, he was a very, very solid guy. Didn't put up definitely I would definitely say his impact on the team went well beyond the stat line. If you look at the numbers, you don't think good player, but I mean, like I said, we don't win that 2013 World Series without him. He was a great vocal leader, came up clutch when we needed him to, and I think you need a spark plug like that on your roster. So I mean, you can't. I feel like Johnny Gomes defending the monster. I love that pick for myself.
I love that pick too. Shout out Bobby Lane. Call me Bob.
Um,
Bobby suggested that video I made about Johnny Gomes. I like the wording I used. Absolute maniac.
No, that's a great way but that's a
Crappy
great
res
way to
year.
describe him. Literally played with like his hair on fire. Literally was diving for everything. Like I said,
Good
a guy
outfielder.
who literally put his body on the line for you. And like I said, he didn't. The stats don't wow you, but his impact went way beyond what the stat lines show you.
Definitely, yeah. I love that pick. Huge Johnny Gomes guy. So I've got three starters now in my rotation. I've got my closer and my two setup guys. I'm gonna go back to position here. I've got my outfield set. All I'm lacking is a second baseman or shortstop, which is a pretty big deal. You're lacking up the middle. I'm gonna go ahead and take Steven Drew.
Like that, I like that. I mean, like I said, another guy definitely played some great. He was definitely known more, I would say, for the defensive aspect than with the bat. But I mean, again, definitely a great guy. Again, a huge part of that 2013 World Series team. Didn't come to the Reds. I remember 2014, he was kind of holding out for a big money contract, didn't get it, so he signed a 1 year deal, and then we ended up trading him to the Yankees, which again, you don't really see that often, a Red Sox Yankees trade. So
Yeah,
that was
very
very,
rare.
very interesting to say the least when it happened. But no, I mean, like I said, that's a good guy, especially for Manning shortstop. That's a good guy to have. He definitely got it done with the glove. Um, so I think let's see, I still need two starters, a reliever, and a catcher before I move on to my bench. Um, I think I'm probably gonna target. I'm gonna target another starting pitcher here. Looking at the board, a couple names that I wanted are gone. You
Sorry.
know, you got my no, you got me on the pitching side for sure. But I mean, I think I'm gonna go with Josh Beckett. Came over from the Marlins to the Red Sox back in 2005 off season. Obviously, he was kind of closer to the tail end of his career in the 2010s, but I mean, was a huge part of that 2007 World Series team. Arguably, could have won the Cy Young the year the Red Sox won it. Led the league that year in 20 wins. But I mean, a stretch from 2006 to 2009 put up at least 10 wins, and even 2011 too, he put up 13 wins. Only year he didn't in that span was 2010 and 2012, where he got traded. But I mean, again, there was a time period where Josh Beckett was considered one of the best pitchers in baseball. And I mean, like I said, the 2010s definitely weren't his best years, but he still put up an all-star year in
All-star year.
2011, 13 and
Hmm.
7 with a 2.89 ERA in 30 games started, 149 ERA plus that year. And like I said, during that mid to late 2000s, arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball up to that point. So, I mean, especially where, the pitching's starting to get a little bit thinner, what better to have than a guy like Josh Beckett, who was definitely the ace of that 2007 squad.
That's a big one. Huge Beckett guy. I'm gonna go. I'm in need of a second baseman. Not necessarily someone you think of as being your starting second baseman. Hold on. Let me take that back because I just saw someone. I just saw someone, and I'm gonna go ahead and change my pick, but I'm gonna check a few things. But I'm gonna go Brock Holt because I believe what I'm gonna put down here. Brock Holt came up, obviously All Star in 2015. Again, a guy who is just like scrappy, just could play, just could flat out play, just like again, just like a good ball player. 2014, he was our leadoff hitter for most of that year. I remember about a 281. Again, he was right around that like 95, 99 OPS plus, like slightly below average, but we'll take it with the versatility. Obviously, I'm pretty sure with the Red Sox, there wasn't a position he didn't play except for pitcher and catcher. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he played literally everywhere. Guy was just
Yeah.
the definition of a utility player. So I'll go ahead and take him and I'll put him at second base with the option to just put him absolutely anywhere.
No, I like that. Again, like he was a great character. Like we talk about like the Red Sox characters, guys like, Kevin Millar and all them, but Brock Holt definitely fits that category for sure. And like you said, guy you could literally plug and play anywhere you wanted all over the diamond and he would get the job done. I mean, definitely wasn't the strongest hitter, but I mean he had an all-star appearance in 2015, hit for the cycle twice. And I should add too, only cycle in postseason history against the Yankees in the ALDS 2018. So I
That's
mean,
a
no,
big
I
one.
like that. I mean, that's a good pick. I mean, like I think if you talk to any Red Sox fans, Brock Holt is a fan favorite. And so, like you
Big
said,
time.
you could put him anywhere and he'll get the job done. So I like that pick for you. Um, so let's see. I need a starter, I need a reliever, I need a catcher. I think I'm just gonna fill out the catcher spot. I know that there's still two names left that obviously played major roles as the starting catcher. I think I'm gonna take Christian Vasquez as my catcher.
Damn,
No
dude.
disrespect to Jared Saltalamacchia, he had some great moments in a Red Sox uniform, but I mean Christian Vasquez, especially on the defensive end, he was arguably one of the best defensive catchers during that 2010 stretch. I mean, he had a cannon for an arm. He could throw out guys. Had a couple of decent seasons offensively. I think he had a 20 homer season at one point, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, like I said, I mean, Christian Vasquez could get it done on the defensive end. Obviously, was lacking a little bit more on the offensive end. I still remember that and was a part of the Red Sox for almost all of his career up until last year. We traded him to Houston, which that broke my heart, man. I
Yeah, that's a
was
bad. That's a
especially seeing that interview where like he just gets told halfway through, like, "Hey, you're getting traded," and just seeing the emotion on him and the shock, like, "Oh my god," I was heartbroken then because I mean, he was never the best player, but he was a guy that stuck around for such a long time, and I mean, he was definitely a guy that I wouldn't say heart and soul, but you knew he was going to come there to play every single day, and so I
yeah.
mean, you
I
can't.
see
I mean,
him
you
as
can't.
I see him as part of that like core. Obviously, you have like the killer bees in the outfield. Bogart, Devers. Like I actually like tie him in with those guys. I think he was just like I mean, dude, like having a good catcher. defensively behind the plate and a guy who could just like command your staff, command you. So I think that was heartbreaking, like you said. Like that's a big blow. That is not a fan favorite trade by any means whatsoever. That's bad. That's
Yeah,
bad.
I thought like when that happened, that really like signaled the end of an era. Like, yeah, we traded
Mm-hmm.
Mookie and Benny and Bradley and like all those guys before that, but like when Christian Vasquez went, that was like, okay, like this is now we're officially past this era. Like this was the
Yep.
last guy that was really there during that era. And now it's like 2023 on, like this is a new era in Red Sox baseball. And it was at the time, it was so hard for me to get over. Like it
Yeah.
was just so
It just
sad
made
seeing a
no
guy that
sense.
was there for what, 9, 10 years get
Yeah.
traded all of a sudden, especially the way it happened too. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, when he was there, one of the best defensive catchers, could swing. Wasn't the best with the bat, but he had a couple really good years, especially as a catcher too, where there's not as much offense behind the plate. So can't go wrong with that pick. I'm loving it.
I like that pick too. All right, I think you're gonna be a little bit upset by the fact that this guy's still on the board and he's about to
Oh
be off
no.
the board. So I got three starters in my rotation here. I'm looking at a guy who at one point spelled his name wrong, which is really embarrassing. But this guy at one point, he was an ace for us. Two-time All-Star, number six in the Cy Young voting in 2010. Clay Buchholz. Guy was a beast for a
Oh,
while. Again, I think just kind of like a couple of rough years, obviously. 2016 was like the tail end of Buchholz, 31. He goes on to the Phillies. He ends up retiring by age of 34. A couple of really nice years. 2010, the All-Star year, 173 innings, 2.33 ERA, 187 ERA plus. He led the league in that category. That's a good trivia question there. 2013 with the World Series year, believed riddled by injury, 108 innings, but again a 1.74 ERA, four wrong column here, 237 ERA plus. So really really solid year from him there. A couple of really good years. I'll put him as my number four any day. Very happy about that. And I'm actually kind of confused how I picked him over Porcello, but he fell, so we'll take him. Am I right? Are you
yeah.
pretty upset about that?
A little
A
stings a
little
little
bit.
bit. Yeah, no, I mean there was a
Okay.
time where Clay Buchholz, like I thought, because I still remember, like I know he threw the no hitter in his rookie year, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember like Terry Francona was like, you could throw a no hitter and you're still getting sent down to AAA because it was a spot start, and he went out
Right.
and did it. Like, and I thought he was going to be like a future ace, and obviously injuries kind of got in the way of that, unfortunately. But no, that's a good pick. Clay Buchholz was a guy. He was a really good guy when we needed him. So I mean definitely can't go wrong with that. I'm gonna fill out the starting my last starting pitcher, and I just realized I don't know how we didn't put him on the board, but he did pitch in the 2010s.
We're going off the board.
I don't know. I don't think there's any starting pitchers left, if I'm not mistaken. I think everyone else is a reliever. So
That
I
dude,
kind of had to do a little bit of
go for
background
it.
research while you were discussing the Buckholz thing. We missed this guy, but
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I mean, this guy we got him in the middle of the 2018 season from Tampa Bay and pitched his heart out. I
Oh
mean,
my,
people remember 2018 World
wow.
Series in game three. We that game went to what, 17, 18 innings.
Mm-hmm.
And he did give up a walk-off homer, but I mean, he kept us in that game for as long. He literally gave us everything we had. And that's some very, very solid years. The Red Sox in the late 2010s going into the 2020s. For my last starting pitching spot, I'm going to take Nathan Evaldi. I don't know how we missed him. He wasn't on the board, but I had to go off the board there because I had to do some research. I'm like, I need a fifth starter bad. And I mean, like I said, pitch come first in 2018, went in the second half of the season, 3.33 ERA with the Red Sox. Struggled a little bit in 2019 and obviously the COVID year in 2020. But 2021 and 2022, especially 2021, 11-9, 3.75 ERA, 32 starts. I mean, this guy was a workhorse. And I mean, that's what, especially for your fifth guy in a rotation, like that's what you need. You need a guy that you could could take the ball for you every fifth day and get the job done. And that's what Nathan Evaldi did during his time with the Red Sox. And I was sad to see him go, having a career year right now with the Texas Rangers. But I mean,
Yeah.
when he was in a Red Sox uniform, I mean, make no mistake, this guy was, I believe, and he started the wild card game as well, and don't against the Yankees. And everyone was saying Yankees were going to win that game. They were going to win it. And he started that game and literally kept their bats quiet. I mean, this guy was unbelievable when we needed him most in a Red Sox uniform. So, Nathan Eovaldi is my fifth guy in the rotation. I am so happy I did that research, man.
Yeah, dude. I don't know how. I don't know what. Like, dude, Native Baldy. That's pretty bad though. That I don't know how we neither of us. I sent that thing over to you. I kind of was just like draft board, just like kind of typed up some stuff, and I just shot it over to you. I was like, he'll fill it out. I don't know how we missed Native Baldy, but that's a big pickup. Kind of shatters my heart a little bit. I would love that. Love that. Love him to be my fifth starter right now. It'd be lovely, especially since I think the last starter on our board is Felix DeBron, and I'm
Yeah.
and I think that's probably
No,
what's
you're
up.
right. You're right. Like I was like, I'm not taking Felix. There has to be another guy out there. No disrespect to Felix Dubron, but I knew there had to have been another guy out there that I just wasn't thinking. I was just blanking on, and thank God I thought of him last second.
Dude. I'm not like you said, dude. I'm not taking Felix. I'm gonna go. I'm going off the board here. We're gonna go to the 2018 Red Sox. I can. I'm willing to bet that I can find you someone who is in our rotation that I would rather have over that guy. And not no again, no disrespect, but
No, there
I
definitely is
think
a
I
guy. Like we definitely came up with a lot of names, but there's some that kind of get through cracks in the wall. Like there's always going to be a
yeah,
few guys like that. So
dude, Native Holder's a big one to miss. Oh my god.
I cannot believe we didn't think of that up until now.
Ay, ay, ay. Hey, hold on here, because I think I got something with this. I think I got something that double check something real quick.
I might be having my heart
Ah,
broken in just a few seconds.
nah, he wasn't as good as I
Oh,
thought. We were Dice K, obviously, right?
oh yeah. I
Because
mean,
we are
Dice K
going
wasn't.
2010. Do you want to know what his ERA was his final season?
Oh boy.
8.28. Five and a half
Oh,
ERA over his career here.
I mean, he did play in the 2010. I mean, obviously he was better in the late 2000s, but he did play in the 2010s, and you
Yeah.
have to have that in consideration his dominance when he first came over from Japan. So
Yes.
I mean, that's your call. I'm not going to influence you either way.
Yeah, that is Wakefield. Wakefield was kind of, I think, towards the end of his time.
Like
2010.
literally the very end. I think it was like one or
Dude.
2 years.
Yeah, 43 years old in 2010. That's wild.
I mean, credit to him to pitch that long. I mean,
Yeah,
there's not,
dude.
especially now where like guys are retiring, like their mid to late 30s, pitch to 43. I mean, all the
Hmm.
credit to him.
I could just go with him just because he's a knuckleballer. That would just be like I'm thinking. I'm thinking my pick is probably going to be Dubron just because he was here for a while. A lot of innings. I'm a big inning guy. I'll go Felix Dubron as my five.
No, I mean,
The crop
like
got a little thin at the end.
yeah, I like I said, there's some guys that there's cracks through the wall. I don't know how we didn't think of Native Volume when we came up with this draft board, but I mean, Felix Dubrat, I mean, he was definitely, he was there for a while. Was part of that 2013 World Series team. I mean, he was an inning eater. He didn't have the best stuff, but I mean, like I said, I mean, he definitely eats up innings. You know exactly what you're going to get from him every fifth day, and I think
Sure.
like you said, you're able to kind of, he's going to get the ball and be able to give you innings. And at the end of the day, as a fifth starter, that's what you want. Um, so the only spot I have left now is just a reliever. Gotta think about this. Looking at the guys there, trying to see if was there another guy that maybe kind of slipped through the cracks and we just did not think of him. Not really. No, I don't. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any names that really slipped through the wall. All right, I think I'll go off the board. I'll go on the sorry on the board with this one. I'm stuck on two names. One was involved in probably one of the biggest fights of all time, and the other guy, retired for a while and then all of a sudden came back to baseball and is having a resurgence with the
Where are we
Colorado
go?
Rockies right now. So
Where are we
those are the two
going
guys
here?
I'm stuck on those two guys right now.
I'm not even sure who those
Um,
two guys are.
you really? I thought you would have picked up on those hints.
I might get this one.
Let me see. All right, I'm checking the stats really quickly just to see. Did have one good year, and then let me check this other guy. It's down to these two names. I just want to see. Yeah, all right. No disrespect to Joe Kelly because he was involved in probably one of the biggest fights of all time. And I was fortunate because I was right behind the Yankee dugout when that game happened. So I actually got to
No.
witness that live. Oh my
Wow.
God. That
You got
was
a
one of the
video.
cool.
You got to have a video.
I think somewhere I might.
Okay,
I think
we'll
somewhere I
get that.
might.
We'll get that video because we're gonna throw that up because we're gonna clip this. We're gonna clip a bunch of stuff. We're gonna clip that. We're gonna throw that video up. That's
I will look for it for you. No disrespect to Joe Kelly,
that's
but
crazy.
I'm for my last reliever spot, I'm gonna take Daniel Bard.
Okay.
He's having a resurgence with the Colorado Rockies. Was literally out of baseball from 2014 to 2019. And since he came back, obviously with the Red Sox, he looked like the future for a little bit. I mean, he was a dominant reliever. Rookie year he had a 3.65 ERA, not the best stuff, but he showed glimpses with ERA plus 128 plus. But I mean, 2011 it was his best year by far. 1-2 record with a 1.93 ERA in 73 games. He had an ERA plus of 227, and even 2010 was, I believe, and then 2011,
Yeah.
still another great year, 2-9, a 3.33 ERA in 70 games, had an ERA plus of 129. And I don't fault him for this, but the Red Sox tried to convert him into a starter, and it didn't work. He had a 6.22 ERA as a starter. Pitched only 2 games in 2013, then fell out of baseball. But even still, when he came back with the Rockies, he's having a 2.02 ERA this year, 1.79 ERA last year. So I mean, Daniel Bard, he looked like the future for a little while, and obviously things didn't work out. But I mean, as a reliever in the early 2010s, I mean, he got the job done and was arguably one of the best relievers in baseball at that point. And, it's not his fault that the Red Sox want to convert him into a starter. It didn't work. But, speaking in terms of specifically a reliever, he was one of the best in the early 2010s. And, I can't, and having the resurgence he's having now, I can't go wrong with this pick.
That's a good pick. I like that. Is he your closer or is he no? Because you have Koji. You have
No,
Koji as a
Koji,
closer.
he's
That's a good.
setup man. Yep.
A good setup. It's a good setup. I think that's a draft, dude. I was kind of just like like my abbreviated field here. I kind of just like made sure I had all the spots covered, no bases, no lines
I love
whatsoever.
that. I
I
love.
got
Meanwhile, just doing it off my phone.
yeah, there
Just
we
doing it
go.
off my phone.
So I got my starting nine. I got my five starters. I got the closer, two relievers.
So I
I'm
think
cool
all
with
we got
that.
is the bench spots, pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Let's do.
I have my eyes on one guy for the bench. I'm just hoping you don't take him.
Okay.
Actually, no, two guys. But I know you're going to get one of them. So I'm just hoping it's not the. It's just
Okay.
not. I'm just hoping. I'm just hoping.
Hmm. Okay. I'm gonna go with a guy who I don't think is a starter for me, but he had one really nice year. A couple good years where he hit power, but looking at like, dude, I'm looking at 2016 when he's 32 years old, batted 286, 126 OPS plus, 30 bombs,
No.
28 doubles,
I knew
111 RBIs.
I knew it. No. No.
I'm gonna go Hanley.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I
Hanley.
knew it. I
Put
knew
it in
you
the
were going to
book.
get him. I knew it. Ah, man, that one hurts. That one hurts. Oh man, I knew you were gonna take him. I was hoping maybe you wouldn't notice him.
Such a big
Oh my
Hanley guy.
God.
It's bombs.
No, he did. And people say that it was like a failure of a signing, but I mean, he had a monster 2016 season. And he compared to other guys that we signed in the 2010s that didn't really pan out, like he was very serviceable. And like I said, monster
Yeah.
2016. And I remember in that second half, he just went absolutely crazy. Like it
Yeah.
was just, I just felt like he was going to hit a home run because I think he had like 15, 16 at the All Star break. And then all of a
Just
sudden, he
went
just went on a
crazy.
span where he just kept getting hit after hit. Like Hanley, that second half of 2016 was the man.
But man.
Oh, man, that one hurts. But that's okay because, I'm going to take another 2013 World Series hero that you actually made a video of not that long ago. and that is the beard himself, Mr. Mike Napoli.
Okay.
I mean,
That was
I
my
you
other
know,
guy if he got taken, yeah.
I knew one of them was gonna get picked, but you can't go wrong with Mike Napoli. I mean, he was a great power bat for us for the Red Sox. I mean, 2013 he had an 842 OPS, 23 bombs, 92 runs batted in, had an OPS plus of 128, and even 2014 too. He had a 120 OPS plus. So I mean, again, and
Dang.
also
I
another
didn't
guy
realize
that came
that.
up in clutch moments. I remember that 2013 ALCS in Detroit where it was Verlander. It was just a nothing game. I forgot. I think it was Lackey and Verlander. And I remember it was just no one was scoring. And then Mike Napoli just delivered the blow with a solo home run. And that ended up being the deciding factor. So, I mean, there were definitely he had some very, very clutch moments in the Red Sox uniform. And, when the pressure's on and I need someone to pinch hit, what better to go to with Mike Napoli, who's been in those spots?
Absolutely. Right now he's the first base coach of the Cubs and looking yacked. Looking I don't know if you've seen him for the Cubs.
I I
Coaching
know he's
first
been with
base.
the Cubs. I haven't seen him recently,
He
but
looks
I'll
like he
have to take a
retired
look at
and just
that.
crushing Bench. Like this dude, yeah, he looks. I mean, imagine him that strong when he played. He would have hit 50 bombs a year. I'm gonna go with a
Oh
speed guy.
man.
I'm gonna go with a speed guy off the bench. Okay, you would say that he's a failed contract in the 2010s, but I'm gonna go Carl Crawford. I think
No,
if you keep him on the bench, I think his shelf time is longer than. I mean, obviously the injuries he had, but that dude was fly. He could fly. He was fast. I'm gonna take him as my pinch runner off the bench.
yeah, no, that's a good. Listen, for speed purposes, that's a good pick. Make no
Yeah,
mistake, Carl Crawford had speed, and I wish that worked out. I was
I
so
know.
excited when the Red Sox signed him, and then
I think
just
that was
seeing him.
part. I think that was part of the problem too. Is like he came over to like we kind of just were buying at that point, like towards the end of like 2007, 2009, 10, like just kind of trying to buy pieces to just like get another title home. He was like supposed to be a big deal, and it just like didn't work out. And I'm with you on that one. That would have been huge if he could just be a stud with us. You're talking like
Yeah, and I
40
mean
stolen
the
bags.
yeah, I mean the good news is we were able to get rid of that contract because I don't know how the Dodgers wanted to take all those contracts on, but I
That's
mean
beyond
credit
me.
to them because that opened up a bunch of payroll for us. But no, I mean to make no mistake, you need someone to steal bases for you in a tight situation. I mean Carl Crawford definitely is a good guy to have for it. Um, I'm looking at the board still. Let's see, might have to go maybe try to go off the board here. Trying to think. Uh, I'm thinking speed too. I'm trying to think about who was some really fast guys. I mean, I have Ellsbury in center field. Obviously, that's a good guy. Obviously, got some speed there, but def off the bench. Um, I don't know if necessarily he was necessarily a speed guy, but I'll take an outfielder here. I'm gonna take Daniel Nava as my outfielder.
It's a good
What
one.
a great story too. He got undrafted out of college, played independent ball. Got signed by the Red Sox. I think it was like one. I'm not even kidding. $1. They bought the rights to Daniel Nava for $1. Like, and he made his major league debut. Literally, first pitch of his major league career was a grand slam. I
Mhm.
mean, there's not a lot of people in baseball that can say that. And I mean, even in 2013 too. I mean, he definitely wasn't like a major piece, but I mean, he definitely held his own during that 2013 season. I mean, he batted 303, had an 831 OPS, 127 OPS plus. Wasn't really obviously not really much of a speed threat. I thought I was going to go in that direction, but I mean, he definitely a solid outfielder during his time with the Red Sox, and unfortunately, kind of struggled out of nowhere during the 2015 season, and his career just never really got back on track ever again after that. But I mean, during that early 2010 stretch, what first of all, great story. And I mean, like I said, was a an underrated piece of that 2013 World Series team.
Definitely. Yeah, he was the man. So I want to fill out my squad with a backup catcher. I'm looking at V Mart. He was kind of towards the tail end of his 30s when he came here. And I'm gonna go Salty. I'm gonna go Jared Saltalamacchia as my backup catcher. Who could hit too? Dude had a year where he hit 25 bombs. Um, Next year he had a 118 OPS plus. Guy who just, I mean, caught 120 games a year. So really good pick there. I think really good backup catcher. A guy who's obviously serviceable enough to be catching that much a year. So
Yeah, I still remember that. I still remember that walk-off single he had in the ALCS and just like all his teammates literally running out to him like as he's like trying to run away from him. That was like a moment that was like really the moment that stuck out to me in Saltalamacchia's career with the Red Sox. Um
longest name in baseball, I think, at that time too, in terms of like the
yeah.
longest name. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And all right. So, I'm gonna take a backup catcher here too. He's not on the board because we took all the catchers that were. This was a guy, I wouldn't say he wasn't that great for us with the stat line, but I mean, nonetheless, I mean, he was another leader. I would say on that 2013 squad, especially being an older veteran up at that point. Filled in for Saltalamacchia as the backup catcher. Like I said, the numbers don't wow you by any means, but he's also the current manager of the Cubs, so that helps. I'm gonna take David Ross as my backup catcher. I mean, like I said, never really had a stat line that wowed you by any means. But that being said, I mean, David Ross was definitely a huge veteran piece vocally for the Red Sox team. Also, did very, very well as a defensive player, I would say as well. So I mean, like I said, not really a guy that would wow you, but I mean, like I said, a great vocal leader, and you need leadership and you need experience for a team. And so I think, David Ross serves as another one of those vocal leaders for the squad.
All right, so I think that's a good draft.
That was a very,
I
yeah,
think I think I kind of got wiped a little bit. I think you kind of just dominated the board a little bit, but that's all right. We're gonna put this out on probably both my Instagrams, and then I'll tag you in it as well. And nice little graphic of both the teams, and we get some pretty good engagement over there. We'll see what people are saying. Maybe put out a little poll,
yeah.
duke
We'll
it
see.
out. But it was
Let,
a good draft.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was great. No, I think you definitely got me. You definitely got me in the pitching side. No, I mean you have some. I even on the offensive side, you got some sleepers, man. I feel like there's some guys out there that not a lot of people would think about being producers, but I think you definitely have some good sleep picks there that I think a lot of people may not think about when they first see it. But I think if they think more and more about it, like they're gonna realize you have a deep roster, man. 100%.
Yeah, I'm loving that Hanley pick on the bench. He could start,
I
but
knew
like
you were gonna take him. Oh my
bench
god,
that.
I was so mad. I was so mad when you got him.
All right, dude. Well, that was awesome. Thank you once again. I
Yeah,
will
of course,
obviously
man.
your socials will be out there when I post this, so we'll get rolling with it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hey, it was an honor. Thank you for having me on, man. And hey,
Well,
hoping to do much more in the future, man.
yeah, dude,
100%.
we'll do this again for sure.